Alright, so in this video we're taking a look at the Skyzone AtomRC Cineflex. This is a 2-inch Cinewhoop with these prop guards and inverted motors. Kind of reminds me a lot of the Diatone Cinewhoop, but that one was only for, I think, 40mm propeller, so a bit smaller than this one and a bit lighter. Obviously totally different power setup than this one here. So this one here has 1105 motors. It has a 3 board stack there, which is difficult to see. Maybe through the back here. 20 by 20 stack here. So you get a 4-in-1 ESC, 15 amps, F411 flight controller, so it only has 2 UARTs, and you have a analog video transmitter, 25 to 300 milliwatts power switchable. This one is a plug and play. It does not come with a receiver, but it does come with a plug for the receiver, which goes in the, man, it's difficult to see there. It's kind of buried there behind the power cord, and that does come on your standard servo leads. You just cut that off, and then I added my own little tiny micro FreeSky type receiver here. You can see right here, it's very lightweight, so you can pretty much use any kind of S-bus receiver and just zip tie it to the frame like this. Comes with GemFan 2040 propellers. We'll talk about this here a little bit later. You do get a spare set of those as well in the box. The FPV camera is the Caddx EOS 2 camera. So it's kind of more traditional parts here for the stack, 20 by 20, not like a whoop style board. So this is a bit on the heavier side overall. You get these metal camera guards here in the front, kind of overkill as well. And then the frame is interesting too, because you have this electroplated plastic prop guards here for this inverted motor setup. And you know, in a crash, you can scratch this up pretty good and it'll probably peel off the paint. But they do include an extra set of prop guards here in the box. I'll show you that here in a second. The carbon that's holding the frame together, so you can see that there's 3 screws for each prop guard on the top and also on the bottom. That basically the combination of the carbon plates on the top and bottom plus the prop guard and basically 6 screws in each prop guard is holding the whole thing together, and it's very stiff. It doesn't flex at all. Kind of overkill as well. I'm not sure if you really need that many screws, but that's what they did. The carbon plates on the top and the bottom are using this water transfer paint, I guess the graphics, and so that's, I don't know, it's kind of cool, but you know, it does add a bit of cost, and the stuff that can get damaged if you scratch it or crash into something, especially on the bottom here. But as you can see, it's on pretty good. I've had you can see the screws here from the landings on like concrete and stuff. So you know, something sharp could hit it and you could possibly scratch it, but it'll look nice at the beginning until it crashes later. So you know, if you tend to crash a lot and are worried about this being damaged, you probably don't want to get this model, because there's a lot of places here where you can get scratches and nicks, and it's going to eventually look kind of bad if you crash a lot. But if you don't, and you like the looks of it, then yeah, you know, why not? Now, if you want to replace the prop guards on here, they do come with a set of prop guards that don't have any electroplating. It's just red color here in plastic, so if you're going to be crashing a lot, you can swap those out for these and not have to worry about that too much. It looks like they're the same except for the silver paint color. And of course, if you break any of these, then you have a total set of spares. In the box, you also get a set of screws and nuts. There's some spares here because I did have some of these fall out on me. You want to make sure you tighten these up because they aren't just metal into plastic. So, you know, that's why they give you some spares, because sometimes they'll vibrate out. And then you do get an extra battery strap here, spare props, as I mentioned. And then you get this cover, which is for the HD version. So this is the analog version, just regular analog camera, but there's also a split camera or a split HD version with the, I think it's the Runcam Nano 3 split version. And then this houses the camera board that will go on the bottom here. So that's what the HD version looks like. I don't know if the analog version will come with this cover. My sample review unit just happened to have this, but I know that this will be pre-installed on the version with the HD camera. So, you know, if you want one with the HD camera built in, then that's the other version. That's like $180, $175. This one's like $130 to $140. So that's, you're basically paying for the extra cost of that Runcam Nano 3 split camera. All right, so the last thing here is a spec sheet, and shows you basically some specs on the boards. Also the very important wiring diagram, and shows you the layout of the boards inside. And let's see, there is different wiring diagrams here for different receivers, like the RXSR, then you have a Spectrum type receiver, and also Crossfire. So all those are possible receiver types that you could connect up. Now, I just connected it up to the plug. That's, I think, is on the opposite side of this board here, but obviously they're showing here how to solder up the receiver. Now, for me, if you do want to solder up receiver, you're going to have to actually take all these screws out and get inside and remove the carbon plate. But for me, because I just had a simple FreeSky receiver like this and they had a plug right there, I just kind of used some, like, I don't know what they call these things, little needle nose grips or grab. I don't know what these are called exactly, but you can just basically go in here and plug it in like so, and then I just soldered on the receiver before I actually plugged in the wires. So you can see the wires actually sticking out here a little bit. So the plug is actually the easiest route to go if you have a FreeSky receiver, because that's S-bus on that, I think, on that particular plug. And then you can just put the receiver there, and the USB port, which is you can see their USB Type-C on this particular flight controller, is very easily accessible as well, as long as you have a long enough cord to go in there. So if you have a cord that's long enough, it'll go in no problem. You can just kind of wiggle it and it will actually connect. And I didn't actually have to take this apart to get this up and running, because I was able to solder on that receiver and just plug it into the back of the flight controller. If you want to solder a different kind of receiver and not use the plug, then you'll have to take the top off and take the video transmitter off and then get to the flight controller, which, you know, after all that, it could be a bit of a hassle. So something to keep in mind, but, you know, that's kind of typical for a lot of these Cinewhoops. To get inside here for maintenance can be a bit challenging for some of these models. All right, so this is what the model weighs. It's 105 grams. I flew with this Outline 450 4S, so they recommend a 4S 450 to 650, and with the 450 you're getting coming in at 158 grams. If you want more flight time, you should go to the 650 4S. You're probably going to get maybe another minute to minute and a half on the 650 over the 450. I was getting about 3 minutes on the 450, and it does come with a tune from the factory. On 4S, it does seem like there's a little bit of determ oscillation. I'm not exactly sure what's going on with the tune. I didn't really take a close look at it. I just flew it the way it came out of the box. I didn't touch the tune at all. I think you may want to change the propellers. I do remember from, this is an old propeller by this Jumpfan 2040. I do remember that this one did have issues with oscillations and vibrations. Maybe they're a little bit unbalanced. So you may want to go to like the newer version of this. I think the more modern version is a 3-bladed Jumpfan. I think it's a 2038, I believe is what it's called. And it's that one I have pretty good success with. Either that, or you can go with one of the HQ 3-bladed 2-inch propellers. So something a little bit more modern. This propeller is pretty old, so that could be possibly a flaw in the design. But I know the newer 2-inch ones will probably fare better. I didn't get really super hot motors. They're a little bit warm, so you know it could just be something that I was hearing and may not necessarily be a problem long term. But yeah, hearing that little bit of oscillation is something you probably want to change. I would suggest maybe reducing the determ, the PIDs on the D gains, and lower them a little bit. That possibly will get rid of the issue, but then you may have a flight characteristic that's maybe not as locked in as it was in the flight demo you see. Oh, it flew really well. I mean, it felt pretty locked in, but I think maybe they added a lot of D-term to keep it locked in, maybe a little bit more than required. So maybe we'll just reduce that, and that should probably fix the problem, or you can change propellers. Anyway, it's going to do it for this video. Here's the flight footage, and I'll talk to you guys in the next video. Alright, so this is pretty loud, and I hear a little bit of oscillation. Running a 450 4S Alline battery. Not a lot of wind. A little bit of a breeze, but I'll bring it closer. You can hear a little bit of an oscillation there. I'm not sure what it is. I haven't looked at the PID tune at all. I think it's a D-term oscillation. We'll have to see how hot the motor is yet. It's not terrible, but ain't great either. This is pretty annoying, actually. I try and fly over here because it's way too noisy. Fair amount of signal breakup.